Farnham.
Here.
Funkhauser. Here. Jenness.
Here.
Pointer.
Here.
Brogdon. Voigt.
Present.
Keller.
Need a motion to approve the minutes from April 11th, 2012 meeting. So motion by Pointer. Second by all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Need a motion to move to approve the claims against the county.
So moved. Second.
Ben moves, Jeff Boyd seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
No. No.
I'd like to speak,
You can speak whenever you want to.
well, with your permission, Mr. Chairman. As I understand it, and I need some clarification from the state's attorney, that the sheriff has the right to spend his budget the way he wants once we approve the dollar amount. Is that correct? Okay.
So we don't.
There's one particular bill that we're asked to approve. It's to Thomas McGuire Professional Services on a grievance on the deputies. And we had a meeting with the sheriff, the state's attorney, myself, and with him and McGuire. And the state's attorney said that the appellate prosecutor's office would be representing the county in this proceeding. We pay the appellate prosecutor's office $7,000 per year for this service, and I don't feel like that we should be paying another firm to do this representation when we already have an attorney representing us in this matter at the present time. And that's I guess, my question on this particular bill, whether we should be paying something we've already paid, and then we're paying another attorney to do the same thing that we're already paying something.
And
Not true.
There will be I'm going to call for a roll call vote so it's clear.
Well, I would like one more statement. I don't think that that is clear. We have, certain people on this board have rejected the argument that the sheriff's put forward, and he is exploring another legal option which could very much benefit us. And therefore, I think it is within the sheriff's rights to do this.
There's certain board members who've done what?
That don't agree with his approach in the way he's looking at the particular issue. He wants the whole issue thrown out before it ever gets to the mediator, and we have rejected that, some of us, and said we don't agree with that, or that we don't believe that's possible. I think he should be allowed to try to do that for $2,500.
Okay. Mark has an opinion.
We didn't.
Well, there are two separate issues here. The elected officials' opportunity to spend.
We didn't do it.
Carl, Lance.
When Mr. Voigt asked about the elected officials' ability to spend the appropriated money, that's within the right as long as it's within the appropriated money. We get into a secondary issue of legal representation, and elected officials go to the state's attorney's office for legal representation. This issue of the sheriff finding his own representation has not been approved through this office, state's attorney's office. There is, matter of fact, the arbitration has been held up because he indicated he was going to do something, file something in the circuit court's office to try and obtain his own counsel, because he's alleged there's a conflict of interest. There has been no recognized conflict of interest, nothing in writing, nothing published, and therefore we are at, I should say, an impasse, waiting either a movement to the circuit court to determine whether or not a conflict exists and a special prosecutor to be appointed for him. So And there's another issue I just want to clarify. We pay, the labor attorney from the appellate prosecutor's office is available to us at a much reduced rate, $60 an hour, as part of that membership fee that Mr. Farnham mentioned. So that has been the appointed counsel for the county through the state's attorney's office. That's the expert in labor law. And they're basically said, we're on hold for now until you straighten out whatever conflict exists in-house, meaning between the sheriff, as he's alleged, and the county board. So at this point, nothing's been done as far as establishing whether or not we're moving to circuit court to establish whether there is a conflict and whether he is entitled to special counsel.
I have asked the clerk for a roll call vote on claims against the county.
Farnham.
No.
Funkhauser.
No.
Janice.
Yes.
Pointer.
Yes.
Trogdon.
No.
Voigt.
Yes.
Oh,
Aye.
thanks, guys.
Keller.
Yes.
4-3.
Okay, item number 6. County board members' claims. Need a motion to approve. Early moves.
Second.
On your seconds. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 7, public session. Donna, I understand you have something.
Yes, I do. I mean, I really don't want to be here. Fine, anyway. I can't understand, not who can answer this, I don't understand why the inside of the courthouse is basically so filthy and hasn't been kept up. I mean, I think what brought my attention most was this floor out here. I mean, that's just horrendous. I mean, it's just, I mean, it looks like somebody's been out there tap dancing with spikes on. And I just can't understand why it hasn't been kept up. And I know that when I was on the board, we ordered some more slate to make sure that everything looked nice. There was no way to be putting new slate in there now if it looks so bad. So I just can't understand why it hasn't been kept up. And I took a tour this morning and went downstairs in the downstairs in the ladies' bathroom. The water's just running. There's no way to shut it off. I mean, it's just running. And you know, the courthouse is the focal point of the whole county. And all summer long, people come in and out of this courthouse to do different things. And to me, it's an embarrassment that, you know, you have people come from out of town, you have attorneys come from out of town that come in here, and it's the first thing they see, you know, and you stand back and look at the courthouse, and oh my gosh, you got the beautiful rotunda now with the Lady Justice, but then out here where you go down to the basement, it's green with mold. They can take a power washer and wash it. I mean, it's just, I just don't understand what's not in that, it's not in very good condition inside now. I mean, it's dusty, it's just, I don't know, it just looked like, then I think what really got me was I came by the sheriff's department the other day and Bob Wilson's out there power washing the freaking sidewalk. Well, this needs some attention too. And the jail looks nice inside, I understand that, but 99% of the people in the community don't see the inside of the jail. But they see the courthouse. And I just think it's a disgrace that how bad that whoever it is let this go this bad.
We've addressed that with the sheriff, but we've had complaints in the past, and he said he would take care of it.
Well, I talked to the sheriff too, and he told me the same story. And he said he's going to get the buffer from the high school, which that was a lie because they already had the buffer up there at the jail using it then. But I just think that to let that floor get in that bad a shape, I mean, I put my hands down. It's gritty. It's gritty, and every time somebody walks in there, all that grit, it's just running up more and more.
There's actually a tile that's broken in the elevator too. It looks like dirt, but it's a chunk out of tile.
And see, there's there's slate. I don't know whatever happened to the extra slate, but we always kept it, so that people didn't stumble and whatever. But I think if somebody walks in this courthouse, and upstairs you're looking out the window by the probation office, there's bird crap everywhere. Oh, I mean, that's a terrible thing. I don't know. I think I don't think you all let your own homes look like this. So why doesn't somebody take some pride in this courthouse? I mean, so much money was spent to make the rotunda look so nice, but that's the best you can see, and you come in here, it's like, I just don't get it. I just don't know why it's just went to pot. And
The sheriff's the custodian of the courthouse.
I know that.
I know, and we've told him so we can talk to him again.
Well,
I agree with Donna. I mean, it is,
We really
our
talked to
offices
him
are
big time
absolutely
once about it.
filthy.
it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And then I think another thing that, I saw on his Facebook page where he's so proud inside of that jail, and you could eat off the floor of the halls of the jail. It's so shiny and everything. Then you come in here and you think, what is wrong with this picture? And but like I say, when I came by there and saw Bob Wilson doing that for sidewalk, I thought, oh, that is ridiculous. I mean, that's how the courthouse could use, it wouldn't take that much. And I don't know what you do now, but I mean, don't you have probationary kids that do community service to come up and take one section and clean it real well or something, I even heard that a judge had to vacuum his own office. That's just getting, so that's what I am upset about, and I think that ought to be, I know you don't have, well, you should have control of the sheriff, but I guess you don't.
We will have the building and grounds committee, the sheriff's committee. We'll work on it.
Okay.
And we appreciate you.
He has names of folks that will do the floor. I went out and found your names. I mean, he keeps saying he's gonna have somebody, do it with the buffer.
Well, it's just sad. I mean, it's to the point now that it's scratched and even buff it down to where it's supposed to be to put my brother was home during my mother's funeral. He wanted to go through Mayo School because, since he graduated in 8th grade. Well, the floor is beautiful. That's an old school. I mean, but it's been kept up. Where this, I don't know what happened, but man, it's just been let go. So that's my complaint, and I'm done. I'm out of here.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don, do you have any more? Sir?
Over the past 14, 15 months, brought up a lot of stuff. And in regards to things that are going on, things that are wrong, and I understand it's a big ship we're trying to steer. It takes a lot to turn it in a small creek. I understand that. I've asked this board points me to the authority of 911, which was their board, about things that are being done wrong. We've talked about it in the audit. I understand the audit's not going to be presented today. The auditor basically refused to look at any of the wrongful things that I pointed out, said it wasn't within their scope of authority, which that scope of authority is granted by the approving board, which nobody wants to look at. There's ongoing continual spending of 911 money, and I'll leave a copy of the Attorney General's opinion on this. It's directly related to the spending of 911 money. We've presented it. I've talked about it here. I get pointed to that board. And so far, it still continues. Without reading the whole opinion, this is all tied to what you can spend that 911 money on. It should be noted, however, that the use of the proceeds of the emergency telephone system surcharge is limited to the purpose set forth in Section 15.4. Therefore, the surcharge monies may not be used to compensate personnel for performing functions that are unrelated to the operation of the emergency telephone system. Previous in this, it outlines exactly what that system means and how that money can be spent. The portion of the employee's compensation related to time expended for other functions must be paid from other funding sources. They continue to pay our 911 coordinator for services that have nothing to do with the operation of the system. as outlined in the Attorney General's opinion. They've refused to address it. Is this board going to address the illegal spending of our 911 money? It's interesting. We had great interaction, and I thought it was really positive. We had interaction on the floor, but nobody has a comment on this? It's ironic. I'll move on to the second pattern of what seems to be happening in this county, and this is dating back, but it points to a pattern. And this was in the news from the Terre Haute, Indiana Journal. I don't get this one. It was one that we actually found a copy of online, and it was in relation to several years ago with a past employee who was terminated. They left under bad circumstances. The county board will meet in a closed session Wednesday morning to decide if they want to take action against that person. State's Attorney Matt Sullivan said he knew of no effort to contact police to investigate the incident regarding the treasurer's office. Most of us know what happened with that, and according to a particular deputy, that was illegal use of county money for personal things. I haven't been able to confirm that because the records never were recovered. Apparently they were destroyed with a quote-unquote virus or whatever. What does it take to take action, to force an investigation, to get some of this stuff fixed? And some of the things that are, and I'm telling you guys, there's more coming, because some of the other criminal activity we've uncovered with our taxpayers' money is going to shock the hell out of everybody in this room. Where does it stop? When is somebody going to say, enough is enough? We've got deputies that buy things from a past sheriff's sale. That's illegal. They're not allowed to participate in a sheriff's sale. We've got a past sheriff that sold a gun with a filed off serial number. That's completely illegal. Violates state and federal statutes, and nobody wants to do anything. I'm asking, how is it that this can happen under your watch? How do we fix this? Who's going to initiate an investigation and make it happen? Do I have to physically file a criminal complaint to make that happen? Is that what needs to be done? Is that the legal process you want me to do? I'm asking. Mark, can you give us any input on that?
No, I don't advise individual citizens.
We'll have an interactive conversation about a dirty floor that's been dirty for 5 years. But we sit silent over criminal activity. I am in shock. I really am. We continue to protect people instead of stand up and do what's right. And that's all that we're asking. Our 911 money continues to be spent illegally, and not a damn thing's being done about it. And for everybody to sit silent tells me what I need to know about the next election.
For instance, what's illegal? Give us some examples. You know, give me something in writing. I'll take a look at it. I'm not afraid to bring it up if it's.
They're paying her $1,500 to be a FOIA officer.
Right.
I've brought it up before. You've sat silent for 3 months. 4 months. Nothing's being done. I've got a deputy that admits that wrongdoing has taken place, yet he's still a deputy. I don't understand it.
Give me examples.
Have you not been to the meetings we've had over and over and over?
Yeah, I've been here.
Okay. We've got a list of guns that were sold from the sheriff's office, the last sheriff, completely in violation of the law. Is anybody going to do anything about it?
First I've heard of it.
You were one of them that sold during your time in office. The state law doesn't permit seized weapons to be sold.
They can be traded. Guns, I don't know what, for instance, you're talking about, but guns that we had were traded in at O'Haren's.
There's no court order to release the guns to private individuals, and it's in direct violation of state law.
Give me some information. I'll take a look at it.
For your situation, it's well past any statute of limitations. We've got filed off serial numbers on a gun that was sold in this county by our past sheriff, and it went to one of a handful of deputies, which they're completely forbidden to buy any property from a sheriff's sale. The reason they're forbidden from buying property is it prevents a conflict to where they see something that they think they can seize, knowing that they can turn around and buy it. And there's another story that's going to be coming up in regards to that that's very directly related to the upcoming arbitration, because deputies are seizing things and then they turn around and buy it. It's like it's lawlessness.
You're saying that's still going on?
Under the current sheriff, no, the deputies buying stuff has come to a stop. But we still have guns that were sold illegally, of which one of them is a filed off serial number weapon. 8 others that don't have serial numbers. I'm all done.
Supervisor Sessions.
I'm going to give the annual report for the Board of Review for the 2011 Edgar County Board of Review, the final report. The 2011 Edgar County Board of Review officially convened June 1, 2011 and adjourned April 16, 2012. During this time, the board met only when necessary and as a result worked 19 days. The final day for acceptance of complaints by the 2011 board was on February 14, 2012. Complaints were filed on 94 parcels, constituting less than 1% of the total parcels countywide. After rendering tentative decisions on these complaints, requests were received for 15 final hearings. The books were signed over to the county clerk on April 16, 2012, and the final abstracts were sent to Illinois Department of Revenue April 16, 2012. A tentative multiplier of 1.0 was issued to Edgar County on February 12, 2012, with a final multiplier of 1.0 issued to the county on May 4, 2012. The board acted on applications and exemptions with the following totals for exemptions: 1,804 senior citizens homestead, 447 homestead improvement, 1,103 senior citizen assessment freeze homestead, 13 veterans, 1 returning veteran, 437 nonprofit, 125 disabled persons, 42 disabled veterans. Beverly Markey, Clerk of the Board of Review. And I also wanted to comment that it's been since 1993 that we've had more than 2 years of the 1.0, so I'm really proud of having 3 years with the 1.0.
Thank you. Yes.
Bev, will you be filing a copy of
Yes.
that in my office?
Yes, I've got one here.
Okay, thank you.
I need a motion to accept the supervisor assessment report.
So moved.
Second. So moved by Boyd, second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next item, approved fees for multi-township assessment performed by the county. Would you like to handle that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Last meeting, we did pass that, and it was pointed out that we probably didn't give it enough time and recognition to the public. So I would move, we discussed it, it's been out there for a month. We would like to move that, that the Finance Committee recommends charging $25 per hour plus mileage to assess the multi-townships, and that fee would be in effect until another fee would be set. In other words, until further notice. Okay? Yes, I moved. I'm sorry, I didn't say that.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Item number 10, resolution to set salaries for circuit clerk, state's attorney, and coroner.
Again, that's an issue.
Finance Committee.
Yeah, that was an issue that we, again, dealt with last meeting. We held it over. We would like to move that the recommendation of the Finance Committee be approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
There will be a roll call vote.
Jim? If I may add a comment first.
If you're right.
There's, the, sounds of course awfully self-serving, but the salary for the state's attorney is set by the state, it's not set by
That's true.
the county board, and the county board has powers given to it by statute. One of them is not setting the state attorney's fee, and the reason I mention this, there's always some kind of confusion with the state attorney's salary. But I mention this because if the board does something it doesn't have the power to do, it's a void vote, meaning it has no legal effect. So it's also can further complicate matters, because if the board is setting the coroner and circuit clerk's salary for the next 4 years. If this is all in one resolution, a void resolution means legal effect
Yeah.
of this vote.
Okay, well taken.
Can I amend my motion then?
Well taken.
Well, yeah, I'd like to finish just so you know, for all practical purposes, the county's portion of the state's attorney's salary has been frozen since 1988. The approximately 17,000, but since 1988, 66% of the state's attorney's salary and any increases since then have been paid by the state, or it's the state's responsibility.
Don, was that not changed?
I would rather answer that, I do not know.
I was under the impression the state decided to cut that down to 40%. But last year when they cut a lot of them. But anyway,
But I'm,
point well taken, and regardless of what the answer to that question is, would you find out for me?
Yeah,
And at this time, we'd entertain.
Can we just remake the motion? Or is it too late?
No, you just, yeah. Yeah.
We just, go ahead, Ben. What did you say?
Why you would be changing what we said on here we was gonna do.
Right, I understand that. I just
Can
want
we
to
do
know
it
if I
next-
can start.
Can we do it next meeting, or is that too late?
You're supposed to set it 6 months before
We
they
need to
take
do it
office.
now.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
simply going to say that we take this resolution and cross out the state's attorney portion of it and pass that. And then you can redo the document and we're fine. Okay?
When will they set, the state setting for the
We should do a resolution on
prior to the election?
yeah, it's been the same thing.
It's in there. Individual. Then the illegal one is sets by itself.
It's up to you, Mr. Chairman.
I did not hear that question.
Okay.
I would say we have an individual resolution for each person,
Each office.
each office.
Mr. Clark.
Well, I'm certainly not an expert in all this, but being as how there is a motion on the floor to approve the salaries,
Yes.
you could, not telling you how to vote, but you could vote on that, turn that down, and then turn around and make a motion and do either approve the resolution setting the salaries of the circuit clerk and the coroner, and then be done with it, or you could do each individual office. So I think that's a clearer way to do it, since we've got motions on the floor and
Well, he withdraws the second and I withdraw my motion. We have no motion.
Okay.
on the floor.
Then we just amend it.
Right. Well, we don't even amend it. I just make a brand new motion.
My problem with what we're doing, if the state's only gonna pay 40%,
I don't know that.
but if they do, we block ourselves in. If we vote on this motion that's allegedly illegal, at least we have it.
We're not even going to deal with this.
Let me clarify that, Ben. If the state pays nothing, they set the state's attorney's salary. We do not. I don't care if they don't pay it down.
The budget portion of it hasn't varied since the 2.5
Yes,
years.
it has, when they don't pay it.
I'm sorry, what we're actually collecting has not varied.
No, okay, but what we're paying has.
But
Because when they don't pay it, we still have to pay it to the state's attorney, correct?
irregardless, we cannot set the salary. You did ask that question for me to the state, since they're not reimbursing it much, can we change the salary? I remember that.
You're talking to me?
Yeah, and the answer was
Yeah, so
no.
I would say that whatever his salary is, yes, we have to honor that regardless
And the
of,
state says that we have no control over it.
I would agree with that. And I would hope
Much
that
like Bev's
Mark would
salary.
agree with that too.
We have some variance, but the state sets it, much like Aaron's salary. The state sets it. We
Then to
do-
say our part is 17,000 is not correct. If we have to pay 30% or 40% of it, then that's not correct that we pay 17. We are subject to paying 100%, correct? Ain't that what you're saying? We're subject to paying 100% if the state chooses not to pay.
Yeah, there's any sign.
Jim,
But we do not set
Okay.
the salary.
I remember the memo, if you want to call it that came from the state, I think at one time it may have said something in line with what you're saying, but I think before it was all said and done, it ended up being where they still paid us what the 2/3.
Yes.
I think they kind of did they were hoping they could get by with it, but eventually they ended up paying it, so.
Past history shows that, yes, you're right, they do take care of that office and the judges and judicial. But you did report to us, you had a letter saying it's going to be reduced.
Right, and that
So
letter then was superseded.
Anyway, that
by-
doesn't change what we have to vote on today, because it doesn't matter. We cannot set his salary, it's set the state. So, brings us back to our present dilemma.
It was my understanding when I first came on this board, they said that if we wanted the state to pay the percentage of it, we had to.
No, that's incorrect on that particular position. That's correct on Aaron's position. We don't have to take their 75% or whatever, 50%.
The state will pay if you pay me their recommended salary. If you pay me
Right.
what they asked for, they will pay my
We
salary.
can pay less, but it'll cost us more.
Yeah, you have to pay it all.
And I'm assuming that's also not true on the public defender. The fact that if we paid what they said, then they would pay a percentage. If we didn't, like we were doing, they would. So it's also mandatory that we pay so much to the public defender, right?
I
Yes,
think we're confusing the funding source and paying it versus
right.
setting the responsibility for setting it.
It could be.
So, you know, they're always behind their, it seems every report Don gives, they're always behind the reimbursement,
Yes, I
so.
understand that. I was saying, we voted to go along with the state's, 90-some thousand for a public defender, because then they would pay a big percentage of it. Otherwise, we was paying
Right.
40,000,
You're correct.
and we paid it all. And that was my understanding how the state's attorney was too. But now you're saying, I think we're saying that we have to pay the public defender that amount, and we have to pay the state's attorney
No,
that
public
amount.
defender's different.
Oh, it is? It's a different.
Well, it's set at 80, isn't it 86,000?
Right.
Yeah.
However,
Because we approved.
But we paid it, yes.
we turn in 86, we do not pay 86 until we get the reimbursement, correct?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. That doesn't solve this dilemma.
Right.
Jeff has withdrawn his second, I withdraw my motion.
Okay.
We're starting over.
Okay.
Now, do you want it separated? It doesn't have to be.
What do you mean? That's fine.
We should,
But however you
remove
make
the
it.
circuit clerk in the corner.
necessary. Go ahead.
Removing the circuit clerk in the corner and striking the state's attorney from the resolution.
That's the
Okay.
motion.
That's the motion.
Is there a second?
And I'll second.
Thank you, Jeff.
Now, there will be a roll call.
Barnum,
Yes.
Bonecastle,
Yes.
Janice,
Yes.
Pointer,
Yes.
Trogdon.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Item 11, Pluto John Acres subdivision. We have a subdivision plot platted.
We have a motion by the subdivision committee to approve that, pending any report. Are we okay with everything?
Yeah, I made my recommendation.
And it is the county highway, everybody's in agreement,
Okay?
and this is the final approval, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a second? Verlin seconds. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. This is on Cherry Point Road, cross street from Doug Carey's house. I need a motion to reappoint Jim Griffin as Clark Edgar Rural Water District term expires 5/17.
So moved.
Pointer moves, Vernon seconds. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, item 13. Approve administrative order reappointing Joe Good as jury commissioner for a 3-year term, expiring 4/15/15. Trogdor moves. Barnum seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Need a motion for a resolution to reappoint Nicholas Barrett, trustee of the Metcalf Fire Protection District. Same resolution to approve oath and bond for Nicholas Barrett.
So moved.
Berlin moves. Ben Jenna seconds. There will be a roll call.
Farnum.
Yes.
Funkhauser.
Yes.
Jenness.
Yes.
Pointer.
Yes.
Trogdon.
Yes.
Voigt.
Motion carries. Item 15, resolution for county mileage reimbursement. Earl, you on that committee?
You want to read that, Augie?
Yeah, the resolution. Yeah, I'll be more happy to. Whereas pursuant to Edgar County Board Resolution effective December 1st, 1981, the mileage rate paid to all county employees when using their personal vehicles for county business was set at 20 cents per mile. And whereas the mileage reimbursement rate has remained unchanged for 30 years, while the cost of operating a motor vehicle has increased substantially, as have depreciation rates. And whereas it is the intention of the Edgar County Board to fairly compensate its employees when utilizing their personal vehicle for county business, and whereas the Central Management Service, CMS, of Illinois regularly reviews the rate of mileage reimbursement paid to employees of the state of Illinois in order to adjust the rate up or down, and then publishes its mileage reimbursement rate to the public, and therefore be it resolved that the Edgar County Board hereby establishes the mileage reimbursement rate for county employees who use their personal vehicles for county business equal to 20 cents below the current CMS rate in effect at the time the employee incurs the expense.
What is it currently?
Just went up to 55 cents.
So moved.
Second.
And that is the
Moved and
recommendation.
seconded. Be a roll call vote.
Farnum.
Yes.
Funkhauser.
Yes.
Jenness.
No.
Pointer.
Yes.
Trogdon.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Motion carried. County highway resolution. First resolution. Resolution to adopt Edgar County Highway Department Section 504 grievance procedure to ensure that Ike Disaster Recovery Program or public infrastructure grant agreement compliance. You want to explain that, Aaron?
The state's requiring us to put a grievance policy.
Speak up, please.
The state of Illinois is requiring the highway department to put a grievance policy procedure in place and to name a coordinator in order to administer the disaster relief monies. So we've done that. So you're going to adopt the county highways policy in handling grievances against discrimination against persons with disabilities.
I need a motion to approve that resolution. Berlin moves. Barnum seconds. Be a roll call vote.
Farnum.
Yes.
Funkhauser.
Yes.
Jenness.
Yes.
Pointer.
Yes.
Trogdon.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Resolution carried. Item 2, resolution authorizing the county board sheriff to sign a unit price agreement for Grandview TR90. That's a federal construction for Grandview Township. Need a motion, please.
So moved.
Janice moves.
We did.
Lloyd moves. Barnum seconds. Be a roll call vote. Does this put this project to rest?
That's all right.
No.
Hopefully this fall.
Farnum.
Yes.
Funkhauser.
Yes.
Janice.
Yes.
Pointer.
Yes.
Trogdon.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes. Resolution carries. Officers, department heads. Aaron, do you have anything else for us?
I wanted to mention that the highway department's about to start a significant roadway program, and that we'll be working with the Beacon News starting this afternoon for public outreach. The Clinton Road and the Lower Terre Haute Road both may very well be started by the next board meeting. So I want to make mention now in case something, I think Clinton Road starts, it's already started, but there'll be a closure on the Clinton Road. That'll be substantial, and the state's handling the Lower Terre Haute Road, and I would anticipate it starting in early June as well. So there'll be a lot of grumbling this year, but there'll be a lot of happy people next.
Okay. Bev, do you have anything else for us?
The file shift's been done, so it's at the county clerks, and since we have the multiplier, we can proceed, and I think we should be right on schedule with tax bills this year,
Okay.
hopefully.
So the county clerk probably don't have any money.
I accept it. And we're putting the finishing touches on that. We're doing the drainage ditches and that's,
Well, you couldn't do anything else until we got the multiplier, so
Yeah.
your hands been tied too, so.
we're working on that.
Don't stick up for him. Okay, Karen, do you have anything for us?
I just second Adonna's opinion that the courthouse really is filthy, and I don't know. I know the sheriff is the keeper of the courthouse. I don't know what else needs to be said or done, but our offices are bad. And other than
Appreciate
that,
that.
we're good. We're plugging along.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Andy.
Nothing new, we're doing good.
Mark, you have any more for us?
There are two items that probably should be ready for the June board meeting. One is the, I suppose they put is a report on the ambulance sale in 2003. There's one other individual that needs to be interviewed. And the other is an opinion, I believe, was requested from the Attorney General on the potential for either conflict or incompatible offices with a sheriff and a deputy sheriff serving on the ETSB or 911 board, trying to understand what potential allegations of conflict there would be. In other words, what is the sheriff's department that the deputy and the sheriff will be involved in that ETSB votes on, to give the Attorney General a fair understanding of what we're seeking to know, whether they be benefiting their department on votes they have with ETSB. And so hopefully that'll be received and shared with the board by the June board meeting.
Be available next month. Don?
Your
Report
report.
set over here, by the way.
Sorry, I have to whisper remarks here. Comments. Your report, notice I've added lines because I am a rebel and still don't like wearing my glasses. It makes it easier for me to read the report. I hope it also assists you. We've not had to borrow any more money. The state money has been trickling in. It's almost like they got a crystal ball and know I'm gonna have to borrow. If we could, speaking of crystal balls, if we could magically catch up, the state could catch up on arrear payments, we'd have about $200,000 more sitting in our bank account. As far as reimbursements, the only ones that are current, sales and supplemental sales, is up through March. I'd call that as current as it gets. State's attorneys is through April. I mean, they're right there. It's the income tax that we do not have for this current calendar year.
So for the whole year?
For our current calendar year.
This January.
So if they would pay just January, February, March, we'd have another $140,000. That's our biggest downfall as far as, the auditor asked to speak with me last week just to touch on something about the financial statements. They would like to speak with the board sometime, meaning for the reason that there's some changes that happened a couple years ago that enables a county board by resolution to make changes in the financial statements that would provide better information, more accurate information, not so much the number part of it, but just how things are categorized. And he explained it to me, and it makes very good sense, and they would like to talk with the board about that, just so that you're aware of it. I don't know of anything else. As far as what Bev mentioned about the tax bills, whenever it is turned over to us, we can usually have it's about a 10 business day turnaround. If I need 10 business days to get them printed, stuffed, and to the post office. So that's the best estimate I can give you. Whenever it's turned over to me, 10 business days.
I'm sorry, Dwayne, I skipped you.
Sorry. We're progressed a little farther on putting the hazard mitigation plan grant into effect. Things maybe by this time next month we should have it in place. Other than that, things going wrong.
Now, I understand the narrow banding did not go on.
No.
Where's the new target date?
Don't have a new one right yet, but hopefully we can get one pretty quick.
Were there some deficiencies or what's?
All the entities didn't have their equipment ready.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Clerk.
To stay right with the ESDA theme, Dwayne hosted an educational meeting, COOP,
Continuity of operations.
Continuity of operations out at ESDA. And my office has had a meeting, and we've started talking about putting together our portion of the plan. So there's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of thinking, a lot of questions. What if? Working on.
Just ask each department head to and the court system already has their plan in place that if in the event of a disaster or something, that the government be able to continue its operation if the courthouse closed, if there was a tornado here, things we need to do to continue governance.
So we started that. I would like to announce that tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock in my office, we're going to conduct a lottery for the ballot placement between the two parties, the Democrat and Republican Party. So I've invited both party chairs to the office for tomorrow at 10 o'clock. That's open to the public. It won't take long, and we'll draw straws to see who gets placed first on the ballot as far as the party. We had a visit from the Illinois Public Risk Fund. The representative came in and talked with us about our workers' comp record and for 2011 and 2012. And so far in the calendar year, we only had $1,200 paid out in workers' comp. For 2011, the total was approximately $8,100, but that was due to the winter that we had. We had a lot of slips and falls, just with all the ice and the snow. And so the gentleman was very proactive, and he offered to meet with each department throughout the county to look at ways to enhance safety procedures, safety measures. So if anybody's interested in that, let me know. We can give you the name, phone number of the gentleman. What else we got going on?
What was the amount for this year?
8,000. Oh, for this year. I'm sorry, $1,229. Yep. And then the other thing that I would like to mention is. Okay. I failed to put on the agenda the expiration of the special events liquor license for Castle Finn Winery. It was an administrative brain freeze. That license expires May 31st, and so I wanted to announce that. I would certainly encourage or would like for one of the county board members to make a motion to approve the renewal of that special event license for Castle Finn. He's had it now for, 2-3 years, I suppose now. It's just an administrative oversight. The paperwork is in transition, but I just don't have it in front of me here this morning. It's not on the agenda, but under committee reports and consider action on any recommendation, that's where I would like to see if one of you gentlemen would accommodate that. It'd be a motion to renew the special event liquor license for Castle Finn Winery for the next year to expire.
You may need to have a special meeting. It's not on the agenda for vote to be taken. It's kind of something we ran into last month.
Same difference. So this number 16, that's not a valid or a legal way to run a motion, to entertain a motion? Or 18, I'm sorry.
No, the public has to have notice of what's going to be voted upon.
Okay.
Specifically, a written comment.
Okay.
So if we had, whatever the specific item that would be called to a vote, it needs to be mentioned.
Thank you. Then, Plan B. Highway Department 20, help me. The next highway meeting.
We have a study session.
You have a study session. I'd like to post a special board meeting. What day is that? The 21st.
You need to prepare something for 3 of us to sign.
Yeah, I'll do that. And then, since we'll all already be there, and it won't take 60 seconds.
That's fine.
Thank you, I apologize for that. I'm done.
Good.
So, go ahead.
I'm trying to throw a call again, but we're changing the meeting place. Is that fine? The meeting place for regular board meetings is here stated. If we have a special meeting, that's not a problem.
Put on notice.
You can have it anywhere as long as it's legally posted correctly.
We'll have to have 3 board members. Requested.
I'm done.
Okay, committee reports.
I'll try to be brief. Audit will be presented to the board at the next meeting, their meeting in June. They thought it was next week, and they'd already booked it in. Finance Committee will get with Don and the auditors to find out what kind of recommendations that they want to make to us, and we'll make a recommendation to the board based upon what Don.
Those recommendations would be for the next financial statements for years to come.
All right.
I'm sorry if I didn't clarify that.
No, that's fine. We need to, and we haven't yet, we need to get with the state's attorney on a opinion about allowing, we've had several people come to us asking us to allow four-wheelers to be used, legalized on our roads somehow in connection with the Department of Transportation. And we need to find out what our legal status, or even if we can provide that type of permit for four-wheel vehicles to go out on kind of your time.
Golf carts.
Yeah. Study sessions, we discussed, and we're going to start posting study session, a complete list of dates and times at one point from here forward, so we have those out so the public can see when our study sessions are, instead of posting them every 2 weeks, okay?
And we'll put that on the website too.
Right, that'll be on the website.
That fell between the cracks. We used to do it when all you came on and stuff.
It's fine, we're correcting it.
That's just correction, yeah.
Budget-wise, and I'll make this brief, we extrapolating what the next payroll will be. We've got 50% of the year that's passed as of the end of this month, the end of May. And we're looking at 42.8% of the budget being spent, which is well within the 50%. Almost all of the departments are under, and those that aren't under, you can explain by large purchases that take place only once during the year.
Bear in mind, notoriously, the last 6 months, the budget requests start creeping up.
To that end, Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee is going to start meeting next month and start working with the department heads so they know where we're at, where we're headed, and it's a partnership on what we're trying to do. And maybe that will help us accomplish our goals.
Yeah, we'll also have a building committee meeting and meet with the sheriff over the problems that have been brought to our attention about the courthouse. And also, I called John Weathers, who's a negotiator for the deputies, and gave him the fact that we would prefer to have our negotiation meetings in the evening, and as for this day, he hasn't got back with me on dates that satisfy them, so we can get a date set up. Because right now it's in his hands.
I find that ironic that he sent me several letters demanding dates, and we give him the dates, he says he's not prepared to negotiate at this time. I don't know whatever, but I just find it ironic. Kevin.
No, sir.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Right to revert.
I'm sorry.
For those that haven't been or heard about it, the several landowners in Kansas Township have been informed on the wind farm that they are not going in because of no longer have tax incentives, the winds are insufficient, and the Indiana bat is prevalent in the area. That's a protected species. And landowners have gotten letters of notification that it's not going through. So that's update that we've heard in Kansas on the wind farm.
We didn't report anything because we haven't been officially notified either way on the situation.
Well, we've been so poorly informed all along, I doubt we'd get the official.
Well, I'm just...
Anything else?
They person of the public approached me while I was shopping at Kroger's, wanting to know why they can't view the clocks at night anymore. And I said, well, I thought you could. But sure enough, I drove by, and I made a point of looking up, and they didn't seem to be lit up like they used to be. And so I told him to come and address it himself. He says, I won't be there, but he asked me as a public official to mention it. I've mentioned it.
The lights aren't working.
They weren't the night I looked. It almost looked like the dial was glowing, but it wasn't lit up like with the bulb that broadcasts. So I don't know. Can anyone else confirm that?
I haven't checked. It did work. I know it has worked in the past.
Well,
You blew a bulb.
look at them.
Ben, Billy can maybe check on that.
Yes, we'll check on it.
I'm not here.
Thank you.
That would be in the minutes for all.
Cloudy, yes, sir.
All right.
The Citizens Committee
I've
has,
covered.
Yeah, I said, motion to adjourn.
the Citizens Committee has
So
put
moved.
lights on there, and they're on,
Right.
I would, if there's a problem with them, we wasn't aware of it, I'll have to check that.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I think we're on time.
Good luck to you.
I know, I got it.